Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 112 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin. Who's brooding in a coffin with me tonight?
Michael, I have no open line. Hughes.
Okay.
I guess you could call me either Beta, Gamma, Zelta, whatever that you want to go. Adam Merica from Talk Games to Bubblegum.
And we are just knocking it out of the park here this morning.
Yeah, right?
What do you even say for this game? Like, you just... I mean, I don't know what to say. And Adam, why don't you give a quick shout out to your podcast before we get into this episode?
Talk Games to Bubblegum. There we go. Just come listen to us and enjoy it.
And everywhere but Stitcher.
In the progress. I have submitted it to Stitcher.
I'm going to keep saying that till the day I have. Well, hey, I tried using Spotify for podcasts, found out I don't like it, but I use it to listen to your show, but that's the only, otherwise I like Stitcher better.
Well, I appreciate that.
Also, Spotify's an asshole. It doesn't show all our episodes. It only goes back a certain amount, which when you publish as much as I publish, it only goes back to like 62 right now.
Lame.
But I think I'm Stitcher. I think I have everything, and Podbean has everything. So, yeah, if you like the show and you're wondering why it only has that to Spotify, go elsewhere. I publish too much.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
No, but that's what happened. All right, I'm going to introduce what we're talking about. This is completely a Mike pick for Mike again, because that seems to be a thing this season. We are playing Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII.
Got to make sure you know it's part of the Final Fantasy VII family.
Developed by Square Enix, came out in 2006 in August. So, yeah,
kind of felt like 2002.
Yeah, if it was 2002, it would have been harder and had more stupid escort missions.
And longer.
For no reason.
Yeah.
That's absolutely... yeah.
So, and one, there will be spoilers for Final Fantasy VII. There will be spoilers for this. There'll be spoilers for other stuff that deals with Final Fantasy VII. So, you've been warned. You know, if you're upset about a game that came out in 1997 being spoiled that a character dies, well, I got nothing for you. Because I'm going to make jokes. So, it's going to be there. All right. So first, I want to say why I mean, I haven't played this game since 2006, and I'm going to go in a little storytelling here because I want to. I actually bought this game the day it came out, and I still remember I'd forgotten everything until I started playing this. I had first moved to Minnesota. I was living with my girlfriend at the time in a dinky apartment, or at least it was dinky to me because we lived with like 3 other people in a 2-bedroom. Boy. Well, it was her mom, her stepdad, and her brother, and so her parents had 1 bedroom. Her brother had 1 bedroom. We had a living room. So our bedroom was a sheet hung up on the side of the wall where our closet was, and that's where our mattress was. And I was that's how I lived. And I remember because I bought this game, and I remember playing this game on a little TV in my on the little mattress I was sitting on. Yeah, I remember that. It was good times.
So,
yeah, I was
gonna say, quick little memory with mine. I played it in the past 3 days. Last night got a little rough, because I found out ice is not as bouncy as you would think it is. Well, my head bounced, but, really not much give.
Oh, you fell.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, wait a second.
In the game, I'm like, wait, what?
No. Yeah.
Oh, no.
They tell you to be careful about black ice while driving, but, you can forget. You can slip on that while walking, too.
Yes, you can. It hurts.
Which I think made me understand a little bit of later parts of the game because I had a slight head injury. So
it's like Back to the Future where Doc Brown falls and hits his head on the sink and he gets the idea for the flux capacitor. Adam falls in the street and is like, oh, I understand the plot now.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Knock something into place.
I have watched 3 videos about this game and I still don't really understand what the hell is going on.
So I have an understanding, and I think if they didn't try to use big fancy words and long paragraphs with big fancy words in it, and just be like, yeah, I'm a computer, I got hooked up, so because you know this person, I kind of know your memories. That would have been a lot better for me than what was actually said. But
it also doesn't help. I have no recollection of Final Fantasy VII. Like, at the time this came out, Final Fantasy VII is only 9 years old. I haven't played it. I played it the year before this came out. Probably the year this came out, I would have played it somewhere around then. I remember I went through it again, but it's been a long time, so I remember nothing of Final Fantasy VII. Same. And luckily, I think I was mentioning it to you. While I was playing it, I was actually streaming it on Discord, and I had 2 friends that were really excited for me to start playing this because they love anything and everything Final Fantasy VII. And they even had a strategy guide out for it. They're like, if you need anything, you let us know. We got it. And so they're kind of filling in some little details here. But once again, I haven't played 7 in 10 years.
And yeah, some moments I was like, oh, okay, but a lot of them probably went over my head.
This is also a direct sequel to Final 57, which also I think might have played off, because this also takes place, I think, after Advent Children had already happened too at this point.
Before Advent Children.
Oh, this is before?
Mm-hmm. This is a prequel to Advent Children.
Which is ballsy that Squaresoft is like, Final Fantasy VII came out 9 years ago, let's make a sequel to it that changes everything. It's not exactly striking while the iron's hot.
Advent Children takes place 2 years after
this.
7. This takes place 3 years after 7.
Oh, okay. Well, my apologies.
Sorry, we got to have facts in this podcast, you know.
Oh, no. That means I get to yell at my two friends that was informing me of things.
Yeah, no, I just, unless Wikipedia is wrong, which it could be, but I haven't seen the movie in a long time. We are going to cover it on this show, though. Just to let you know. So,
it's the only thing with Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy VII in the name that I finished is that movie.
This game takes place, the beginning of this game, to open it up, the first cutscene that you see takes place at the end of Final Fantasy, not even the end, right before Final Fantasy completely opens up, where something about you fight, if I remember correctly, you fight Hojo in Midgar on top of the cannon that they shoot Diamond Weapon with, and then you beat Hojo there, and in this game, it's supposed to be where after you left Hojo's dead body there, he wasn't dead, he went inside the computer.
Yes.
So I know those words. And I know they made full sentences, and I even understood some of them, but yeah, I got nothing.
I barely, it took me, because Meteor's coming out, I'm like, what the hell? And it made it seem like they were fighting Hojo while Cloud and them were fighting Sephiroth, and I'm like, that's not how it went. Vincent was with Cloud when they went and fought Sephiroth. Yuffie wasn't, but Vincent was. I used Vincent, and when I beat the game, I remember correctly, back then. He's not the best, but I liked him a lot.
I can't remember how old I was now, but you have this vampire horror movie looking character, and as a kid that jumps out to you, even if he sucks and doesn't really use much to a party, you just want him in there because he's badass looking.
Yeah, he's definitely the coolest looking character in Final Fantasy VII.
His problem is if he uses Limit Break, he's useless. He's not useless, but he can't use items. He can't do anything. And if I remember correctly, which again, who knows? This could be something I just fabricated. I want to say at one point when I beat this game, everybody was dead but him, and he was in Limit Break form. He just kept doing his thing, and I'm like, well, that's nice. I'll just watch. And I won some fight. Might not be this fight, but I know I won a fight by doing that at some point. Vaguely remember. Yeah, that's all I got. So that's how the game starts. And then it takes place 3 years later with Vincent in Calm, one of the first towns you go to in FF7, because he got a letter. He got something about Reese wanting to meet him. And I had no idea. I couldn't remember who the hell Reese was. I had no recollection. I know now, but I had no recollection at first.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, and probably Mike included, Reese is the guy in FF7 who you meet one time, who's sitting in a computer controlling one of your characters that you have, Kate Sith, which is the little cat on top of the big Moogle-looking ugly thing.
I know Kate Sith.
So, yeah.
All right, we're off to a good start.
He's in this game in a very terrible part, too.
But he's not it's just the cat. It's not the big Moogle suit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really weird, because again, this game kind of focuses on Vincent, Yuffie, and Kate Sith, probably 3 of the lesser characters in that game.
Well, Vincent and Yuffie were secret characters. You could go through the game without even seeing either one of them.
Which is kind of weird too, that you make a sequel game based on optional characters.
Yeah, I
found that odd. Yuffie doesn't. She's not playable, but she plays a big part of this game.
Yeah, it made me like Yuffie in this game. It just, I don't know, just her bubbly attitude in this. I was like, I was wrong about you, Yuffie.
I did like her in this. I actually enjoyed this game at most of the time, even though it goes a little long for me. But it's a very strange game. It's also a game very made for a particular audience. And if you're not in that audience, it's not for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of that audience does not line up with the people that liked Final Fantasy VII in the first place. Whereas Final Fantasy VII is a turn-based RPG, this is a third-person shooter. It couldn't be more different.
But also, it's besides just being a third-person shooter, it's a third-person shooter full of Metal Gear-style cutscene.
Oh, yeah, there is that.
Yeah. There's over 3.5 hours of cutscenes, by the way. And I watched an entire YouTube video of all of them because I skipped them all on when I was playing it for some reason. My copy didn't slow down there.
I had a weird slowdown on my copy too, and then I did a little tweaking.
I did too. And also, the YouTube video I was watching had slowdown too a couple times. Oh, weird. I even saw a mouse pop up on that in the video I was watching. Huh?
Wow.
Mine actually ran pretty well, but I still skipped them all because it's me.
I have a copy of this game, but I don't have a working PS2.
I owned this game at some point. I don't know why I bought it, but I don't remember much other than I tried to play it and I know I got to the first boss, and I don't remember anything after that.
Yeah, I also owned it, never played it, because I read reviews about certain things. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm actually really glad I got to play it finally.
It's not a bad game. It's just a game that's very made for a particular audience, and if you're not in that audience, it's not going to work well. It's not, because I mean, if you didn't know 7, the game is not as good. It's hard to kind of know really what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think because, I mean, yes, I was, it does have its own story. Yes, it gives you background. But if you have no idea what the hell is really going, like if you don't know 7, which I don't remember 7 very well, I was very lost for most of this game. I mean, I enjoyed it. I had fun shooting things, and I ran out of ammo a lot.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And then I started buying ammo. And then I was okay. But yeah,
it was trying to find that sweet spot of, all right, I'm going to use this gun so I don't run out of ammo now. I'm going to use this gun so I don't run out of ammo now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It played a lot like probably other third-person action games at this time, I feel like, even though I can't think of any. Like maybe Devil May Cry, kind of. But the melee is also very kind of useless, I think. I mean, I used it a bunch, but it wasn't very good, and I would miss sometimes if I didn't do my combo right.
I use melee quite a bit. Usually when you're going down the very narrow hallways and the camera's like going ape shit. So you turn a corner and there'd be 3 guys standing there and I just spam the melee and take them out.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest gripes with the game was the controls at first. I will never forgive any kind of shooting game that doesn't have the shoot button assigned to the right trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like it so many times. And I skipped the tutorial. Like I started it and I was following a robot around for like 3 minutes, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll just figure it out.
It was that time before right trigger became the standard shoot button.
Yeah, but I'm not.
What shoot now? R1?
Yeah,
square. I think in this.
I can't even remember.
No, R1 was shoot. Yeah, R1
was it?
shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, square was like dash. X was jump. Right. Yeah.
I beat this over a week ago, and I already beat other games since then. I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
are you ready for this, Mike?
I had no problem.
This is the best third-person shooter we played in the last 2 weeks.
What other third-person shooter we played in the last 2 weeks? I don't even remember what we did. Oh, hey now. My brain's like, what are you talking about?
Like, even I knew that one.
There's a lot going on. Binary Domain is a better shooter.
It might be a better game overall. I don't know. Yeah, I had more fun with this than I did with that.
2006 Mike thought this game was amazing.
Oh, yeah, because past Mike's track record is so great.
Also, 2006 Mike, my girlfriend at the time loved Final Fantasy VII as her favorite game. So getting this was like, she was all happy, and I remember playing it, and I had like a good time playing this game, even though I beat it like in a couple days. I remember that. I remember a lot. Like, it was funny. I remember nothing of that time. Then I bought this and I started playing this game for the show, and I'm like, oh yeah! And all of a sudden brought back all these old memories of living in this apartment and stuff. And I'm like, wow, these are still there. I didn't think this game would be what brought them back.
It's funny how stuff like that can trigger those dormant memories.
Yeah, they're memories I didn't need to remember though.
Yeah, well.
I bought this at Mall of America GameStop too. I remember I forgot that, but then I remembered. Oh yeah, I went home and got a bus and went to the mall and bought this game. The day it came out. And I remember trying to convince people to play it and telling people how good it was, and people were like, no, I don't want to play it. I'm like, but it's a great game.
They read reviews too.
Not bad reviews too, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, the reviews were not kind to this game.
It's fine. It's not worth $60, but it's fine. Or $50 at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have probably waited for it to go on sale, but I didn't. But
I still enjoyed it for the show. Like, the story, even though I wasn't like, I played this game completely wrong. I skipped every single cutscene almost, like Mike, partly because of slowdown, partly because I didn't at the time when I was playing this. I think Tiff was around. I'm talking to her. Like, I don't want to pay attention to story. I just want to shoot things. And so I skipped every cutscene, and I watched all the cutscenes afterwards, which is a very weird way to play this game, is to play through the entire game, then watch the story that happens during the time that you're playing.
And try to piece together what happened.
It's not too hard, because the video I watched also would show like boss fights and a little bit of gameplay in each area, so it would help you know what's going on and then keep going. It's the right way to play this game would be just watch the 4-hour YouTube video and you'll be all good to go.
Is that how we're going to do Metal Gear Solid 4 someday?
Jesus.
No, because I really want to play that again because it's been over 10, 15 years. So maybe not that long, but it's been over 10 years. I really want to play it.
Yeah, it's been a while. I played through it once, and I barely remember anything.
So the other thing I do want to say about Dirge, or anything you want to say about Dirge, but back in the beginning, one thing I thought was also interesting is the enemies you're fighting look like Shinra soldiers, but they're not because Shinra is gone at this point. So you're fighting Deep Ground.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, how the hell did Shinra hide this giant of an army underground? I mean,
it's Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Exactly. There you go.
I love that the only Star Wars references I make are the ones that you hate.
Well, it's all from the worst movie in the entire series. Attack of the Clones is the worst movie.
Even I know
Maybe
that.
Last Jedi is close to it, but Attack of the Clones is garbage. That's my goal next year is to watch all those for the show.
Do that.
Yeah, I will be. I don't think you'll be on there, but I'll be doing it.
We'll see.
We got a couple other things we got to do first, so
sure.
So I want to say Deep Ground is supposed to be soldiers that were like experimented on and locked away underground with Mako or something.
That was probably explained at some point, and like I said, they used too many big words, and I was like, I literally had to look up 2 words in the dictionary while playing this game.
The bosses, the Tzvets or Civets, whatever the hell they're called. Yes. I know they were locked up for years. And they make a comment how she's like, I've never seen the rain before, even though I've never seen the sky until 3 days ago. Like, so they were down there for a while. I know that. They make comments. I don't know about the Deep Ground soldiers or why they have such a giant military force, because they have a giant military force. You see later on throughout this game. Kind of like, I'm a little surprised. And I also didn't realize, like, I knew what Calm was, but they talk about the second town you go to after you go to Calm and meet Kate Sith or, Reese. When you go to a town called Edge, I'm like, what the hell is Edge? I don't remember Edge in 7 at all.
This whole game is Edge.
Edge is a town that came up on the outskirts of Midgar because people don't live in Midgar anymore. That's what Edge was. They talk about how all these people are going missing, and I'm like, why are they going to this town and abducting people and then taking them back to Midgar? But then I realize Edge is on the outskirts of Midgar, so they're just capturing people that are nearby.
Okay, dope.
Bueller?
Nope. Nothing for you.
Hey, I mean, yeah.
That's one of the whole thing about this game is a lot of the early missions are you trying to rescue people, but you don't have to. Like when you're at Calm and the Deep Ground are attacking, you're loading people in canisters and then taking the canisters away, and it isn't until later you find out what they're doing with these people, which is kind of brutal.
Yeah,
I thought
a little bit.
You probably didn't catch it, did you, Mike? Because you weren't paying attention.
Nope.
They're feeding the people to Omega, which is the final boss that you never saw, which is a giant weapon. And for those that don't know what a weapon is, you haven't played 7. Weapons are these giant
mechs,
kaiju
basically.
monsters.
Yeah. Those I know.
Omega is the biggest one of them all. That's supposed to only come out if the light stream is pure, and the light streams only appear if you have an apocalypse to happen, or if you throw a lot of people inside of it. Apparently, that peers it too somehow.
Yeah, essentially, he's going to wipe out the planet and give it back to the cosmos,
and then travel to another planet.
Yes,
he's Galactus.
Yeah, but he's not hungry.
He's Omega.
It's really strange. Like, I mean, it is such a strange story that just it's kind of cool, but again, a lot of the characters, it's none of like you think there would be more Cloud or Tifa or Barrett or Sid, but really not. I mean, they're Red 13 not even in this game except for one cutscene at the very end of the game.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I like when like that one cutscene's happening, and all of a sudden you see the metal arm driving, and you're like, oh, and because I didn't think I was going to see Cloud until like the very end, and he was going to come in and be like, yeah, I still stole the show from you. But during it, I was like, where the hell's Red 13? Like, I'd like to see him during this war.
I don't know why they didn't include him, unless they just didn't. It's odd to me. You think they would have had him in here too?
Why didn't Tifa get her own game? I wanted Tifa beat him up.
She was in
Herkies.
In Gerhighs or whatever.
Whatever the heck that game is.
Yeah.
You'll know about it soon.
I know. I can't say I'm looking forward to it.
Ooh. I enjoyed it, but I don't think that's a game I could go back and play now.
Ooh, you're tempting me, sir. You are tempting me.
Hey, I like my fighting games.
It's good. Younger Mike remembers really liking that game.
God damn it.
Again, I was a sucker for anything that had a Final Fantasy VII characters. Like, one reason I was so drawn and so excited for Dirge, because I was just excited to have more FF7, which I think even at that time I didn't consider the best Final Fantasy because that's 6 hands down. But I have always had a soft spot for 7. So so that's kind of why I played this game today too, because I just needed to re-experience it. But it's just very strange. Like the cutscenes are very, they have a very in-depth story, but it's really just Vincent. Lots and lots of Vincent.
And the first shot of him is like, oh no, that's after the prologue where he's like just brooding in a hotel room or something.
Yeah.
Well, there's a big party going on outside, and he's just sitting by himself in the dark.
And then Nemesis busts in the window, and you have a quick time event. Oh, sorry, wrong game.
Yeah.
It's I like Vincent. I like him as a brooding character. I had no problem with the gameplay. I thought the gameplay is interesting. The story, I like the weird story, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I thought it was cool. It also has a lot of flashbacks to Lucretia, who I had no recollection of from FF7 at all.
None. Like I was talking, I was like, is she related to Aerith at all? Because like she looks very similar to her.
She does. They must use the same face model or something.
Hair, everything, yeah.
And I also didn't know this until I was watching the videos afterwards. She's the birth mother of Sephiroth.
And it's implied that Vincent is the papa of Sephiroth.
What?
I think it's Hojo, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they really go into it. I think it's Hojo, too, but just like with the love interest there.
This is Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, it kind of hinted towards Vincent in the beginning.
I mean, also, like, they give you a lot of flashbacks to Vincent being in a tube, to him being a Turk, and when he met Lucretia, when he worked for her. But none of it makes a lot of sense to me because I don't remember 7. So I'm like, but it doesn't repeat stuff that you would have known from 7. Like, oh, you played 7, 9 years ago, or the last 5 years you remember. I'm like, I don't, tell me. And it wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I wish there was like a little like compendium or something like that with characters that you could just go in and read like a quick backstory. Like that would have been fine for me. Because as soon as I read like 1 or 2 sentences, I'd be like, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, I would have liked more because I didn't really know what the hell was going on. And they sprinkle that all the time throughout this entire game. They give you stuff about Lucretia and how she was involved with this and how, she turned Vincent into this. Like, I didn't remember why she did it. It never says once in this game why Vincent is in that container. I had to look up stuff from the original FF7 game to find out why he's in there. Because he got shot by Hojo. It's never in this game.
Yeah, I was going to say
something you would explain.
Yeah, I figured I just missed something because I watched the cutscenes and everything, and then when I beat it, I was like, why the hell was he in that tube? So thank you.
Hojo shot him to kill him for some reason. I think he found out what they were up to or something. So Hojo shoots him. She puts him in there to save him. So she's experimenting on him with chaos to save his life. And then she ends up having something. She's infused with Genova cells, so she can't die or something, I think. That's why I forgot why she's in that. Because you see her periodically where he's visiting her in a cave, and she's surrounded by crystals in a cave, which is from FF7. I only know that because I vaguely remember going there to get a limit breaker, get something from that cave.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't remember any details other than, oh yeah, a cave. That was it. And I guess she seals herself in the crystals, or he does, because she can't die and she doesn't want to be alive. Something like that.
Kind of dark. Okay.
Yeah, but again, none of that's explained in this game. Like, you think they could have threw in one little sentence, but they figured
some of our memories just aren't that good. I tried.
Oh, okay. In the original 7, apparently when you go to the cave, you talk to her, and then if you come back to the cave, she's gone, and you get the limit break for chaos. But in this game, she stayed in the cave.
Because you already have chaos?
Here's the definition that Wikipedia gives. Lucretia's cave is revealed to be the place where chaos is supposed to emerge at the appointed time. After Sephiroth's death, Vincent visits Lucretia. She has encased herself in crystal for feeling guilty for Vincent's death, in quotations, and transformation, and for bearing the sin of having given birth to Sephiroth. After felling Omega, Vincent thanks Lucretia for giving him a new lease on life. A tear rolls down Lucretia's cheek as Vincent leaves the cave. Yep.
Okay. That kind of happens again in this game.
Well, that's from the end of this game.
Oh, that's for this one. Oh, okay. I was like...
No, in 7, you don't. She's just not there. You get the limit break, and that's the end of that. And apparently, at some point, she encased herself in crystal. I got nothing.
Once again, convoluted. The
whole game is convoluted.
Yeah.
Nanomachines. Nanomachines.
They mention nanomachines actually in this too. I think.
They really? Oh my god.
Pretty sure they do. I could be wrong, but I could have sworn nanomachines were mentioned at some point in this.
Yeah, I think I got to remember a name. I called her Blinky the whole time. Shalua?
Something like that. It definitely starts with an SH.
Yeah. Well, there's Shulk, and then I think it's Shalua, her sister, and which I have a lot of thoughts about this character and what she was wearing, but I think it was unpractical. Like the first thing I was like, how do you walk in that? And I was like, no wonder you're missing an eye and have a robot arm. You fall down because you're wearing heels and a half dress tied to each other, like around your knees. Of course you're going to be eating shit. So yeah. But when it came Shalua and Shulk, I just started calling Shalua Blinky because it was easier for me.
Shalua makes absolutely no sense to be in here. Like she doesn't. I mean, yes, she plays a part in the story, but all I could think of is why is this Albet girl here? That's all I saw when I saw her was Albet.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, she has a metal arm. She has one eye. Her one eye is always closed. And the whole story is that she gave up an eye, her arm, and organs. How do you give up organs? I don't really know. In order to find her sister who's been missing for 10 years. But the skirt that she's wearing, like he's talking about, it looks like it would be a normal skirt, a short skirt, but for some reason it's missing part of it and has a little X attaching it, which makes absolutely no sense.
I mean, I enjoyed it. Like I thought it was awesome looking, but then the practicality came in.
I'm gonna guess that Nomura did the character designs for this game.
He did. And like other thing that always curious me, so she has a robotic arm, but she never uses her arm except for one point in the story. Like she doesn't, when she's trying to shoot people, she uses your other arm with a gun. When she tries to stop somebody, she's typing the computer, she only uses like the robot arm is just there. So I was like, what? I was just so confused.
It's very strange.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like the only time she uses her robot arm is when she sacrifices herself to save you guys, because you do find her sister, which is who looks like a 9-year-old, but is actually supposed to be 19 because, why not?
She looks like a rejected Kingdom Hearts character.
She does.
And I mean, equipped with the big ass clown shoes and everything. Like that's all I kept seeing.
She even has like the fake lightsaber looking things that are hooked up to her back, like she has a proton pack. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's odd in this game. Like she's a hacker and she's a boss, but supposedly in the cutscene they say, oh, he's using tranquilizer rounds. Is what they justify to why you shoot the hell out of her and don't kill her.
It's like Batman hitting people with the Batmobile in Arkham Knight. It's like, no, they're just getting electrocuted at 60 miles an hour. They're fine.
Yeah, sure they are. I mean, hell, everything in Arkham that you do to people, most of those people are not going to ever be okay again.
Nah.
No.
I mean, you throw them off things, you break their arms, you break their bodies. They're done.
40-millimeter rubber bullets. Yeah, they're fine. They're good.
God, that game.
I love that game.
Arkham Knight's the worst contender for that, though, with the fake killing.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, there's definitely death.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there someday. But she's just a really weird character. I don't even remember. Like, you first meet her randomly when you're in Edge. She's just walking around the town like, I'm looking for my sister in this town that everyone's missing, and there's nobody here. Like, what are you doing? It's really odd.
Oh, she does look like a Kingdom Hearts character.
She does.
She reminds me of another character, but I can't place what it is.
And Kingdom Hearts already would have been out at this point, too.
Oh, yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2... When is Kingdom Hearts 2?
Is 2004 or 6, somewhere around there?
I can't. I know I've beaten it, and I know I played it at that apartment that I was... 2005.
Yeah.
I know I played it at the same time when I was living in that place.
Those games might be why Yuffie's in this one, because I think she got a little boost in popularity when she ended up being in those.
Yeah, but they could have put Tifa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have rather... I mean, Yuffie worked, I guess. I just would have rather had... I like Tifa.
I think Yuffie's only thing was to break up the darkness, the edginess of the game with a little bit of, like Kate Sith, like a little bit of humor here and there. But
yeah, it seemed like...
Oh, keep going.
Seemed like they were trying to focus spotlight on some of the less popular characters. Like we said before, those two being unlockables, you could go through and not even play as them. So this is kind of like what they're up to. Everyone else is doing meaningful things.
Yeah. They have a story. They were important. They did stuff.
I mean, it works. Like, Yuffie's cool in this game. Kate Sith is still an idiot, and Kate Sith's mission in this game is probably one of the darkest parts of this game, where you're... So Kate Sith, you control the little cat, which is a remote control robot, which I think I played through 7 more than once before I realized that it was a robot and a puppet.
I thought the cat was an actual thing, and the Moogle suit was the robot. So
they're both robots.
That's weird.
Yep, yeah. He's also one of the characters I use the least in that game. I stay far away from him. He sucks. I never used him. Never will when I play that game.
What I didn't like about Kate's mission is not the stealth aspect or anything of that. Like, I kind of liked that part. It was earlier before you do this mission. There's a little cutscene when Kate's first introduced, and you just hear him scream, and this soldier goes flying through a door and hits the ground. And I was like, damn, all right, he's packing a punch. And so when I'm playing this mission, I'm running up to soldiers thinking that I'm just going to wallop him off the edge or something. And he just like flails his hands and does like 1 hit point of damage. And I'm like, did you limit break that one guy? Like, what? But that was kind of useless. Yeah, that was the only problem I actually had with that mission.
I had no patience for that mission. After you're running through gunning people down for 7 chapters or whatever, and it's like, okay, you're going to stealth through this part. Like, wait, what? No, I'm not.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah. Well, I just kept running through until I figured out where I was supposed to go, and eventually I made it.
I'm glad they didn't keep doing it, or that would have gotten stale on the second mission to me.
They also killed him.
Yes.
Because after he sees what's happening in this reactor where people are being tossed into the reactor, into the Mako energy, and being caught by a giant hand, Nero, one of the brothers of the main villain, sort of? I don't know.
Yeah, Nero is the brother of Weiss.
Okay. And he just pretty much turns Kate Sith into a Moogle doll.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. It's really strange.
So I'm just going to... Because I know eventually we may talk about like some of the missions, like because we're doing it now.
Yeah.
But my biggest problem with this game is the invisible walls. I didn't realize you could double jump for the longest time, but it doesn't matter because you can't jump over anything. Like you can only jump up on select boxes, which like would have added so much more like just detail to like the gun battles, being able to jump, get the higher ground, jump, float, shoot. Like I'm not asking for like Devil May Cry style combat, but the fact that there's a jump button and a double jump and things littered around the environment, that would have been just a little extra nice thing.
That map sure makes it apparent where you're supposed to go. That's very helpful. I was doing like Doom 1 strategies of pulling up the map and using that to navigate after I killed all the enemies.
Some of my favorite moments in the game is where you don't have a map, or you get the objective, like somebody will call you and be like, hey, by the way, I've updated your map to where you need to go next. And you open up the map and it's literally like 5 or 10 feet in front of you. And you're like, I could have used that about an hour ago while I was going through this level, but thank you. Thank you for doing your part.
The map, I never use the map. There's a couple different points in this game that have never-ending respawning enemies, and the game doesn't tell you it. And I was like sitting there fighting them. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I looked at the guide, and they're like, yeah, don't go in there. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, just gotta walk through the door.
Yeah, it's a couple different times that happens. I was really annoyed when it happened to me.
Oh, one of mine was later in the game when all the enemies have that mana shield, so you can only hurt them through mana.
Oh boy.
Or physical attacks.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I was out of mana and all my limit breaks, and I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And then I hit them with a physical attack, and they kept coming, and I'm like, all right. I appreciate y'all dropping ether right now, but can this just end? And then I walked through the door, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. I did the same thing. I had to look up a guide, and it would tell me, just go. And I'm like, oh, fuck. But yeah. Also, this thing does a very 2006-y thingy where it likes to change up the gameplay a little bit. Like you're riding in the back of a truck, and a turret gun pops out of the back of the truck, and you're just shooting dogs from FF7, which I liked.
It's a better turret section or better on-rail shooting section than anything in Binary Domain.
You are right. I don't want to agree with you, but you are right.
How long did it take you to figure out how to use a Phoenix Down?
A few deaths.
I did the tutorial, so...
Oh, okay.
I was aware.
Yeah, I didn't realize you actually had to use the item. So I'm dying over and over, and I'm like yelling, like, I have a Phoenix Down. And then one of the WRO soldiers fell down that you're supposed to be protecting, like as little extra bonus points that you get for completing a level. And I was like, all right, you know what? He's the only one down. I'm going to Phoenix Down him, see if that'll revive him. They have to be used for something. And then I saw like the little icon go up. I'm like, oh, I have to use it. Okay.
Yeah. For those who don't know, you use in the item menu and it like queues up a new life. So when you die, it just resurrects you.
And it stays for a very long time. It will stay in between missions too.
Mm-hmm.
which I found out because I used one. I only used it because there was one that dropped and I couldn't pick it up. So I'm like, okay, I'll just use this, and then that's how I found out how it worked too. I use a lot of items in this game. All the time.
Yeah. Like, I refilled potions every time I came across one of the stores, the jukebox stores.
They're odd, but the game has them pretty well spread out where you can always get them, and then you can buy enough potions to get by.
And sometimes they're right in the boss arenas, so you could just stop mid-fight and restock on things and then
as
go
long
back
as you
to
had money.
fighting. Right.
Which is cool. I mean, I was okay with that. There's one boss you fight in Nibelheim Manor, which I want to talk about next, where the guy said, stand on the stairwell in a certain spot and he won't be able to hurt you. It lied. I tried, and I could not line it up to get it to work. And I'm like, bullshit.
I do like the XP or money thing at the end of the mission, because there was times where I'm like, all right, I need some money. I'm going to sacrifice some XP for this so that way I can upgrade my gun. And I thought that was really cool. I don't think you can actually physically upgrade all your guns to max. I think you have to choose like one that you're going to be using the most. But yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, I dumped everything into the pistol.
That's exactly what I did.
I did not. I dumped most things in the pistol, but I also upgraded the machine gun. I upgraded the rifle, but the pistol's the best.
Yeah, I upgraded everything, but the pistol was the only one I ever got fully maxed out.
I was disappointed when I found out there wasn't a shotgun. It's just those 3 guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should have had a shotgun. You can't pick up any enemy weapons either or anything like that in this game. There's none of that.
At least Binary Domain did that, where you could pick up stuff they dropped. But it was cool that you could like mix and match parts that you found. Like you could put a scope on the pistol and use it to zoom in and whatnot, change the barrel size. I like that kind of stuff in games. And there's just not enough of it.
Yeah, equipping different materials, and yeah, I didn't even realize I had a power booster for the longest time.
I didn't use materia at all if I could help it. There were a couple times I did, but I didn't like it, so I didn't use it, which is not a good way to play this game, by the way.
Yeah, it's only I really started using it when the people that had the shield up. And then after that, like I was kind of just accustomed to using it, but that's the last 3 hours of the game.
Yeah, and they're really annoying because as I was saying before, Nibelheim Manor, which is from where you find Vincent in regular FF7, you go there after a little bit when he's trying to figure out what's happening or something. I think somebody either mentioned Lucretia or something happens that drives him to go to the mansion. I can't remember what the details were. But I know when he goes to the mansion, this is when you end up fighting Shagahan enemies, which made me smile because that's the same enemies you fight in FF7 sewer, I'm pretty sure. So it gave me a big smile, even though, and at least it's something different besides deep ground soldiers all the time.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of enemy variety, at least as far as I made it.
And I also have to ask, why the hell do I'm not complaining, but all the female WRO or deep ground soldiers all have like either skirts on, or they all have to make sure there's an area where you see their thighs. Every single one. Like they can't wear full pants.
I actually got the answer to that. Anime.
I'll take it. But I thought about that. I'm like, how do you tell they're female? Oh, their thighs are showing. Okay, they're female.
That checks out.
It amused me, but it was this game.
Saves money on soldiers' outfits and everything like that too.
It's that much less fabric they have to make.
Yeah.
But it's only the women. It's a strange game. But yeah, no, they don't use a lot of different enemy types. They're the same things almost throughout the entire game. I also got to say, the WRO is not very well protected, considering their headquarters get raided twice in this short game. Which I thought was kind of like, really? Twice your whole place is going to get attacked and destroyed?
They're doing their best.
The WRO are so those that don't know, which is including people who probably play this game too, they're the World Regenesis organization that Kate Sith made after the end of Final Fantasy VII, I guess. Yeah, something like that.
I'm reading. They're responsible for heading the planet's reconstruction as well as protecting it from those who wish the world further harm.
But also, none of them have helmets. They just get to wear barrettes. While all the deep ground soldiers have helmets, but you don't get a helmet when you're in WRO. You just get to wear a hat.
They're spending all their money bringing the world to a better place. They
spend all their budget shortening up the women's pants.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, we don't care. You're female. You don't get pants. You get shorts. Like what?
Cold. Wow.
It does. Is there any snow in this game? No, there's no snow. It's strange. And then after that, after you do Nibelheim Manor and you fight off WRO again, you end up having. This is kind of when you get into like what's I think the second half of the game when you get what really matters. Like they decide they need to attack Midgar and stop what's happening with the deep ground, and they took over Midgar is like completely fortified. Like the amount of army you see them fight, and that cuts this huge cutscene where the first time Cloud, Tiff, and Barrett show up, and Sid, is when the whole airship scene where you're in the airship for like as. I think he might have mentioned off radio in our green room where you just are talking to people and there's no fighting. You just have to talk to different NPCs to get the story to move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's really odd because the whole game is just talk, cutscene, shoot, talk, cutscene, and here just talk, cutscene, talk. And that's all it is for like 30 minutes.
I keep saying that, but this really is just Metal Gear Solid because that's the exact same formula.
Yeah, it's very a Metal Gear Solid game, which makes sense. I mean, 2 and 3 would have been out at this time, and those were both really big hits for PS2.
Yeah.
So I kept referring the game to Shadow the Hedgehog. That's
because it's edgy?
It's edgy. They took a formula that's completely not the normal formula. Mm-hmm. And now it's a third-person shooter. And then there's the point during this scene when all this war is going on. They're kind of like snowboarding outside of an airplane, and Vincent's like flipping through the air doing tricks and like shooting it. And I'm like, oh, all right, so now we're playing Shadow. Okay.
I want to play Shadow so bad.
Oh, God.
I really do. I really want to play for the show.
Sounds like we have a guest for it.
I didn't mind it. It wasn't that bad.
I bought it a long time ago, and I played a little bit, but never got far. It has always been on my list to go back to and play. So one day. That was a cool cutscene. I really liked the whole cutscene. I just thought it was funny. It's the first time Cloud and them show up, and then they don't really do anything. Like, you see Cloud fight one of the Tzvets, the Crimson, whatever the hell her name is, the one that murders everybody at different points in this, and it's really dark. And you see her, but, like, that's all. They don't really do a whole lot. But the giant army that was outside Midgard, that's what I was questioning. Like, where the hell how the hell did Deep Ground get this force? But maybe they took over old Shinra stuff that was left around. I don't know. It was a gigantic army. I was a little confused.
Tanks, airships. Yeah.
It's massive. Like, if Shinra would have had this, Shinra could have beat the 6 people that destroyed Shinra. You know, like
they were so deep underground. It took them a few years to bring everything to the surface. That's
you do have the elevator scene because it's after you get inside Midgar. You have you find the Shinra headquarters, which I did smile when you walk into the Shinra headquarters and you see the same building that you went into all those years ago in FF7.
Yeah.
I heard however it goes. It doesn't play in the game, but that's what I heard in my head when I saw it. I just think of the old Midgard song.
At least you'd have to time a button press to open a door with their NPCs. I hate that part. It's in 7.
Oh, I have no... How do you remember that?
I played most of the first disc not too long ago. Probably middle last year.
Oh, before you signed up for this?
Yeah, before I realized that RPGs aren't possible anymore.
Oh, I got to use items. Okay. Healing's important.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, that's how I was confused. Like, but yeah, do you have that long elevator scene, which it reminded me of Metal Gear for some reason, but it did.
Because it's not a ladder. It just reminds you of the ladder.
But it shows you how far underground they are. I mean, and I guess that, could go even longer if you're fighting a giant behemoth for way too long because he sucks.
Should have referenced Metal Gear Solid 1 where all the guys have the stealth camo suits when you're on the elevator.
I like that part. That's also Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, by the way.
Oh.
Because Metal Gear Solid is a remake of Metal Gear 2.
Gotcha.
He took a lot of stuff from Metal Gear 2 because Metal Gear 2 never came to America, and he took a lot of stuff for it when he made Metal Gear Solid.
Cool.
That's neither here nor there. But yes.
After you ride these elevators down is where my favorite part of the game came into play. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a problem with invisible walls. There is one tunnel that you have to go through that just has a tube going across it. I sat for 10 minutes trying to double jump over this thing, jump on the pipes next to it, just jump over it, trying to dash underneath it. I really regret not playing tutorial because my friend who had the strategy guide was like, dude, just duck underneath it. And I was like, you can crouch? I've never once had to crouch in the 8 hours I've been playing this game. And so, yeah, you just crouch and walk underneath stuff. I was so angry at that point.
There's only a couple crouch points in this entire game, but you can crouch. You can also dash, too. It's not very good, but you can.
Yeah.
I did it once or twice, but not very often.
Also, and I don't know, maybe if it was the copy of the game that I had or something, I realized at the last 3 hours, they decided to make Vincent more vocal. He started just grunting and saying things that he was like not. Yeah, like in the beginning, like, for instance, if you broke a box, nothing would happen. Like, he never said anything. But in the last 3 hours of the game, I would break a box and he'd be like, odd, weird, And he never did that in the first few hours of the game. And I didn't know if y'all noticed that or if
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so he doesn't start like talking to himself till near the end of the game.
You said he grunted. It just made me think of Squall from 8, where most of his dialogue is just ellipses.
Squall's an asshole.
Speaking of Squall and Sephiroth, kind of brings us to someone that's very reminiscent of both of those if you combine them into one character.
Why?
Yeah. He had katana, gun swords, and very Sephiroth.
Gunblade. They don't call them gunblade, but they're gunblades.
Oh, absolutely. There's a gun attached to everything in this game.
Yeah, I mean, gunblades were a cool thing at this time, too, though. Because after FF8 came out, gunblades are really cool. Hell, they even put a freaking gunblade in Parasite Eve 2, in that terrible game. I will never play that game again in my life.
Oh, you don't want to do a recovered on that?
No.
People don't know what that is.
That game was one of the worst games I played on this show, I think.
It's not great.
So, and I played some shit on this. That was one of my most disappointments I've ever had on the show with Parasite Eve 2. I was so excited to finally play it, and I hated it.
So I played 2 first and beat it, and then I played 1, and I'm like, well, cool, I like this game. I'm going to go back and play 2, and nope. Don't do that.
But no, you're right. After I derailed us, Wise does kind of look like Sephiroth and Squall combined.
Yeah.
But it's not really Wise that you're even dealing with, if we're going to be honest. Because it's Hojo inside Wise.
A digital copy or something like that. Yeah. He took advantage of the world's network reboot to acquire Wise's body through the synaptic net drive. Hojo, revealing to have knew of the deep grounds of his existence, then explains that he used Vincent as an experiment to control chaos and intends to repeat it with Weiss as the vessel of Omega.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very odd. Because they talk about Wise all the time throughout this game. They go, hey, Wise! And all I could think of was Nazis. Well, I mean, I'm assuming that's what they were going for, but it just reminded me of Hitler. Was Hail Wise instead. That's all it made me think of.
Hail Hydra.
That too. But that didn't come to my mind. Hitler did instead. I'm a history buff. Okay, what can I say? I mean, that's where my brain goes. And the whole Hail Hydra is Hail Hitler. I mean, that's essentially what it is, a direct reference to. And part of that movie, the reason why they do that is to show that they're not really loyal to Hitler. The Nazis, they're loyal to Hydra. And that's why the Nazis try to kill him and then get destroyed by the cannon in that movie. So,
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yes.
Captain America: The First Avenger, one of the best MCU movies.
Okay.
If not the best, but it's one of the best. Very good. So I won't go there. But that's how I took that that's how I felt that reference was. And I kind of cool. I could be wrong, but to me that's really what I felt like they were going for.
No, I can definitely see it.
Again, anytime we start referencing history, I see a lot of or things that I feel like reference history, I kind of see stuff like that.
Every time you start referencing history, my eyes kind of gloss over a little bit.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Hey, before I started this podcast, I actually started a history podcast, but it didn't go anywhere.
Today I learned.
Yeah. We made one episode that I don't think exists and was in terrible audio quality. So
fun.
Yeah, never heard it. The guy was supposed to put it online and do all the stuff, and he never did, and then that was the end of that.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to start a podcast. I wanted to be on one, but I didn't want to be the guy, doing everything for it.
Me too.
And then 6 months later, this show started because that never got off the ground. I'm like, I want a podcast, and then here I am. So, as Weiss is kind of like, cause you hear about him all the time, but he really does look like he just has spiky gray hair, 2 freaking gun blades, and you actually have to lose that first fight with him.
I hate those.
You can win, like you can fight, but you won't win. But you could waste all your items and be an idiot. I read the guide and it said, "Don't do it." And I said, "Okay." And I let him just beat me down.
Like, if you're gonna do that in a game, make sure that the enemy one-shots you before you have a chance to do anything.
Did I told you the Mega Man X story, right? When I first fought Vile, where I didn't know that, and I had Game Genie on, so I fought him for like 20
minutes. Oh, yeah. Yep.
I know. The underground part with Midgar is I thought it was cool, where you fight gargoyles for some weird reason that make absolutely no sense.
I think at this point you just needed another kind of character to break up the monotony of the same 5 people you've been shooting at this point.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's still, I thought it was cool. I like it when you go down there. I mean, I was ready for the game to end because I thought the game only had 10 chapters. Found out I had 12 and I got a little sad, but it was still interesting.
Yeah, and then the last few chapters, I mean, they just break them up. I don't know why. It could have been one thing. Like, you didn't have to break them up the way they did. But they were my favorite moments in the game where you finally felt like a complete badass.
Also, this game has a lot of turret sections. A lot of turret sections.
Yeah, it's yet another game where you're in a turret shooting down planes that are trying to take off. It seems to be a running thing this season.
You're never going to forgive that game, are you?
No, it's bad. It's real bad.
No, it's not. It's a great game. Me and Greg put it on the shelf.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about Robotech Battlecry, by the way, for anyone curious.
Without that license, you would have hated it too.
I know.
And the cheats.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Enough of that. So as we were saying, you also fight a lot of helicopters in this game, too, which are annoying. And you fight Black Widows, but are not as cool as a real Black Widow. You fight so many Black Widow tanks in this game.
You do. And then that's honestly the Black Widow tanks and all the bosses is the only time I ever used my limit break.
Yep. I saved them for bosses too.
And then I found out the limit break is there's only one thing you need to do. Like, you don't just shoot and you don't just slash. You jump up in the air and you can shoot 3 blasts very fast. And then you just come slamming down, and it does so much damage that it makes no sense. Like, you're firing off like Dragon Ball Z style Kai blast like so fast, but if you're on the ground and you do it, you gotta wait like 3 seconds in between. Like, this makes no damn sense. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all you do is just jump, shoot, and then come slamming down with your fist, and it does so much damage.
Huh? That's cool.
Yeah, the section where there was 2 spider tanks, like, I killed them and then still had limit break. Like, was wandering through the stage a little bit. It just destroys everything.
Awesome.
I use the limit break just for boss fights too, though. So yeah. I understand that. I mean, because I wouldn't use it for anything else. I would just save it unless I got into a boss fight, or unless they dropped something where I needed it, and then I already had too many, then I would use it just so I could grab it again.
Yeah, and I hated that part of the inventory where it's like you can only have 4 potions, but I'm 21 out of 50. If I want to carry 50 potions, you let me carry 50 potions.
It would have made the game even easier.
Yeah, it was not a difficult game at all. I mean, I died a few times, but just out of stupidity on some parts.
Usually when I found myself low on health, it's because I wasn't paying attention, because the game doesn't do a whole lot of pointing out that you're getting shot. I would just look down and my health would be like at 100. Like, oh, I should probably use some potion.
You didn't pay attention?
Apparently not.
Yeah, there's like a little tiny radar that pops up to let you know like what direction you're getting shot. But I agree, at times I didn't notice it. Maybe it was due to the environments around.
Yeah, or you're looking at the enemies you're trying to shoot or whatnot.
Yeah, and several times, you have that magical 3-4 enemies that pop up right behind you, so you're not expecting it anyway.
It does do that quite often for no reason.
Especially in the early stages, they want to put enemies like up on buildings where you can't get to that are sniping you. It's like, good luck finding them.
Oh, yeah. And you can't, like, if you're not really paying attention, some of those sniper enemies are so far off in the distance, you're like, is that a chimney or is that an enemy? Okay. And, like, I had this game running, like, at 1080p, so it looked good, but I could not imagine playing this on, like, an older TV. Like, it would have just looked like mud. Like, I would have never have seen them.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you use that scope item they give you.
Mm-hmm.
Some of mine didn't look the greatest either when I was playing it, because on my hardware I could tell every so often it would like slow down or something. It would get ugly. I don't know why I did that, but I every so often did that. I mean, I don't think anything else we should say about this game. I mean, the cutscenes are good looking still. I felt like when they do like the actual full motion video, or not full motion video, not what the hell am I saying? The really good like cutscenes, like the CGI, like that is really, really good.
Which has always been a staple of Square. Like, no matter what system you're playing it on, like when it goes time to like full CGI cutscenes, they always like just so impressive.
It definitely is cool.
the music in this game was amazing, especially near the end where you actually have that one vocal track. And in my mind, I'm like, man, this sounds like Malice Miser, but it's more poppy. And then I forgot in one of the versions of Malice Miser, the lead singer's name was Gact. And Gact was the one who did the intro video and that song for this like little tunnel scene. And that's why I just got so hyped. At this point, like I am kind of getting done with the game. I'm like, all right, you're just carrying on for no reason. I understand there's going to be 8 versions of a boss. I know that going into a Final Fantasy game, but I'm kind of over it. And then this music kicks in and I'm like, yes, all right, I needed this. All right, I can finish.
I heard people mention that, and I had no idea what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, this was very much a podcast game for me, especially since I wasn't watching the cutscenes anyway. Like, I turned the sound down to about 20% and put on a podcast.
Yeah, I listened to everything in this game, but that's because I kind of cared. Also, this game had no subtitles. I don't like it when games don't have subtitles. I can't play them really because I just don't. I don't know. I like reading, and I couldn't read, so I was really upset.
It had subtitles.
It did. I looked for them. I couldn't find them.
Yeah, mine definitely had subtitles.
Well, apparently I didn't look very hard. I didn't look hard enough then. Because I looked, and I'm like, there's no subtitles. I must have not clicked on the right option.
Because I'm like you. Like, even with TV or anything like that, I retain more information when there's subtitles on.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I do in a game is look and see if there's subtitles. But I think it was on by default for me.
Okay, I must have just been looking there because the video I watched had subtitles, and I thought maybe he added them or something. But yeah, I just could not find them. But maybe I didn't look hard enough. I'd load the game up now, but it would kill my computer would die. So.
Yep.
This game's actually very high processing power. I have to say that too. Like it takes power to run this game. I'm sure.
I had so much trouble.
Yeah, considering it was a PS2 game, like besides repetitive enemies and bland environments, it was really crisp. It looked good.
Yeah, I mean, it held up. I think it holds up decently in my opinion. But wasn't the 360 was already out at this time too? I want to say in 2006.
Yeah, same year maybe.
This is a very late PS2. Well, not that. I mean, there's hell. Sing It and some other games probably kept going for a long time on PS2.
Yeah,
but yeah,
2005 was November was 360.
Oh, there you go.
This is August 2006. So yeah, next gen was already here. I don't remember when PS3 came out though.
Yeah. The only time I can ever remember when these games come out is when I go on their page and look it up.
November 11, 2006. So PS3 came out shortly after this game came out. All right, and then after you end up finding out Wise and the whole Hodgel thing, which I did not realize Hodgel had possessed Wise because I skipped all the cutscenes until after I watched the video and so that's what was going on because I didn't pay attention to any of that. I didn't care. And then you have like a part where it kind of throws off the game too, where you're flying around as Chaos, because Chaos is his last limit break you can get in FF7, which is a giant like vampire looking thingy. He looks like Dracula.
Yeah,
and it was cool. You get the death penalty gun, which is his ultimate weapon in FF7. So I thought that was kind of cool too. Yeah,
like I said, they keep hinting towards this form, and you're like, all right, I know eventually I'm going to play it and get to do something awesome. And I really enjoyed this section. It was cakewalk, but I think that's kind of the point to make you feel like a badass. You're just fighting floating diamonds that shoot lasers at you. So like I didn't really get to see like people flying or anything. I just saw like tiny explosions. I'm like, oh. But also meant that I knew this game was coming to an end. And I think once again I was like, yeah, okay.
It's definitely a game where I wanted it to end.
I wouldn't have minded if it was longer, if it fixed some of the problems that we had talked about. Just being just so muddied down like in technology speak and just referencing things that you don't remember, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm losing you on some parts here.
It's like they had to make the game long enough to fit the story they wanted to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, also they didn't want to rehash things that they thought you would already know because you just played FF7.
Yeah, 9 years ago.
Yeah, but 9 years a chance that game was big though at that time. I mean, this was a big resurgence of the game too when this was happening. Like you had Advent Children just came out. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people were playing 7 or had played 7 or something. Plus PS2 back compatible, so it wouldn't have been hard to play 7.
I mean,
back when they had back compatibility on systems.
Yeah, but this was also the time where, like, if you thought you had the original black band copy of Final Fantasy VII, it was worth a lot of money, even though there was like plenty of green band copies out there.
I can't remember 2006 super well, but I feel like this game, like you said, it would have been around, like people would have played it. So I'm still going to keep going off because that's how this game felt. It felt like you need to play 7 before you play this game, and if you don't play 7, this game doesn't really have that much meaning to you. You're not really going to get a lot of the references, and you're not going to enjoy it as much because the gameplay is not as fun as it could be.
Oh, it's super helpful to play this after you just beat Final Fantasy VII. It's super helpful. Like there's so many references back and forth to it. And like even little things like you're on the airship and this girl's like, oh yeah, I named my chocobo Boko, which is another reference to like somebody else naming their chocobo Boko.
She also says,
yeah.
She also says river chocobo or something. It's not a regular chocobo, I think. I thought she said other words.
Yeah, and once again, at a certain point, like when I was talking to all those soldiers on the airship, you get the one that just salutes you and says, sir. I'm like, yes, I don't need to hear a bunch of stuff. I'm just trying to figure out what I need to do, get to the next level.
Exactly.
And I also realized
every time you talk to Yuffie, she's got like 3 paragraphs of things to say, even if it's nothing.
None of it mattered.
And every time I talked to Sid, it went into like a motion video, and I was like, cool, something's about to happen. Nope. Nothing happened, and I was like, all right, I'll do it again. That's another motion video. I'm like, yes! Oh,
let's go get a beer after all this is over. Okay, Sid, just take us where we're going, man.
Did you have to animate that? Like, did you have to spend that much money? That could have just been a text box.
I was the exact same. I'm like, finally. Like, nope, never mind.
Well, they had to do something with Sid. That's his only appearance in this entire game, really. It's just him on the airship talking to you.
And it's the best iteration of Sid. That Texas outlaw Sid. It's my favorite one. I
forget about Sid. I know he's in 7, of course. I've used them, but I just forget he exists. Like, he's not one of the characters that I think of when I think of 7.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think of anything else like the chaos part you were talking about earlier, you fight crystals and you fight Omega, and I thought it was fun. Like, it's just a, shooting gallery type boss, just shoot things and dodge and not hard. And I thought it was fun, though. I enjoyed it. I just thought I was happy the game was almost over with, too, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's... From what we've talked about, we've probably covered a whole, 20% of what's actually going on in the game. Like, I don't even think we mentioned, Azul or Nero, who...
We mentioned Nero. We didn't mention Azul.
yeah, but, Nero is, a 3-form boss, and you see him, 3 times up to this. He's barely talked. He's stealing people. And then, yeah, you're like, I don't really know that much about you. I wish, because... Crimson Rosa and Azul has a lot of on-screen time to this. So, when you fight them, it's more impactful. But for Nero, it was I want to be more invested in this, but I don't know. I just know you're a bad guy.
Also, Azul is a giant behemoth thing that we mentioned a couple times that gets killed, but then he comes back to life, and then he finally dies when you go Chaos form, and he throws the gun into him. But all I can think of Azul is Vulcan Raven. More Metal Gear references. Because he has a giant turret gun that he's holding, and he's talking all stupid, and it just reminded me of Raven.
All right, that was, I did think Metal Gear Solid. And when he shoves that gun through him, I was like, well, I guess that's one way to use a gun.
And then he blasts him after he shows the... And I didn't see that scene because I skipped all the cutscenes until later, so I didn't see it until after I was watching the cutscenes.
Well, I did enjoy the cutscenes. I watched them while I was playing.
Oh, we should also mention there's a bunch of missions in this game that throughout, as you're going through a level, give you missions defend the WRO people. Well, I didn't care, so I just ran past, and you can let everybody die, and the game will keep going just fine. You get less experience.
Yeah. The WRO are the red shirts in the game.
Pretty much.
Anytime.
They don't matter.
Yeah, anytime a soldier was like, can I join you, Vincent? I'm like, oh, I know what your fate is.
they all die.
And you can shoot them, too.
Yep, I did that.
And then they would put you in a hallway with 3 WRO soldiers, 4 explosive barrels, and 5 enemies. And you're just like, I'm just going to get this out of the way. There's no way this is going to go the way you want.
I was surprised at how weird some of the story gets at times, but I enjoyed it. Just odd.
It is. And, like I've said, it's the talking goes on too long. It could have been a 1-sentence thing that would have made much more sense instead of the 10 minutes they're talking, especially anything from Shulk. You're like, okay.
Well, Shulk's in the darkness at one point because Nero is this guy who can put people in a shadow dimension or something. He takes her for a while and has her locked up in a shadow dimension, and you have to go save her or something.
Yeah. And then Nero's I can also take people out of the shadow dimension as well as put them in it. I'm like, all right, but I really don't understand what this means right now.
Again, you can play this game without paying attention to the story. Ask Mike.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I mean, it still has fun moments. I mean, I had no problem with the gameplay. I mean, I did get annoyed with missions. We're like, okay, destroy these gargoyles. I'm like, I don't want to. And I just ran to the door and kept going. Or it was like, destroy 15 helicopters. I didn't, and but it does lots of that. Also,
they're like side missions, basically. Like Adam said before, you do these things that give you extra experience at the end of the mission. They're not required.
There's also, which I didn't play this, but there's also extra missions that were originally in the Japanese version as multiplayer missions, but they took them out and they just put them in the single player game as an extra thing you can do. You can run through little missions with no story and just shoot things.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do it. I didn't even know they were there until I was reading stuff online, but they're there.
I saw them when I went into the tutorial, and I was like, I'm not going to come to these.
Yeah, I don't think they matter.
Who knows? Maybe they would have summed up the whole game. Maybe that would have been just like one little piece that we needed. And
what I understood, there's absolutely no story.
Yeah, so kind of like the whole game. I mean, once again, there's story, and it's there.
Oh, is there?
There's a lot of story. It just doesn't make sense if you aren't paying attention, or if you don't know 7. It's just hard. Oh, and we should talk about the ending, because I think we're kind of nearing most of the stuff in this game that we should say. So the ending of this game, after you fight Omega, the giant weapon, and you see a cutscene of all your team from FF7 breaking down the reactors and cutting the Mako, and you fight Omega, and it had like three different forms of a boss fight too, which I thought were kind of interesting. I liked it. I enjoyed the final fight. Other than having to shoot these freaking flowers and they open up and then you have to like run at them. That was annoying. But other than that, I didn't mind where you just becomes just a shooting fest and you just shoot him in the face a bunch of times and he dies.
Yeah, it was surprisingly underwhelming final boss fight.
Yeah.
None of the boss fights are really great. They're just like bigger normal enemies. I think there's a spider mech that you fight at some point that I took out with like 4 critical shots in a row.
Nice. I don't know what you're talking about though.
It was something. It was an early mission, obviously. Yeah,
I know the Black Widow. You fight so many times, they just keep bringing them back.
I want to say it was like climbing up a wall and I was shooting it. I don't know. It could have been a different game.
They climb up walls and they climb in the ceiling. You can drop them off the ceiling.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, that's all I got. And then the ending is they defeat Omega. They save the life stream. And then Vincent disappears for a while or something, and you have Shulk, the little girl that he rescued, sitting in a bar where Tifa's still working at a bar, and then you see her Shulk sitting next to Red 13. You get your one Red 13 scene of the entire game of him sitting there getting pet like a dog. And then but I guess her sister is dead. We didn't talk about this, but there's a scene with her sister when in WRO headquarters is getting raided. She puts her metal arm in the door to hold the door open for you guys, and then she stands there and talks to you while her arm just gets crushed by the door while the giant behemoth guy is walking towards her. Yeah,
I'm not an expert on robotics or anything like that, but couldn't you just duck underneath your arm and just
detach it or something? Because she doesn't use it?
Yeah, I'm holding up my arm, and I think I could duck underneath it. And then if I knew the door was going to crush, it would just crush in behind me.
And then when she died, you see her like a puddle of oil, not even blood, it's a puddle of oil. And then you see her again in a container, like in a cryo tube. And I'm like, okay, they're going to bring her back. She never shows up again in this game outside the cryo tube.
I think if you interact with a computer or something like that, there's a little scene. And Shulk's like, she doesn't want to be brought back, or we can't bring her back, or something like that.
It's really dark. That's all I mean.
It's Final Fantasy. You know people are going to die.
Yeah, I guess.
At least she didn't get stabbed in the back.
I was like, where's Eris in this game? It was weird. I didn't see Eris at all when they showed the whole team.
Also, when you do defeat Omega, it's like a nuclear explosion, 15 feet off the ground, and a huge shockwave goes around the world. And I'm like, more people just died. A lot more people just died.
They would not be alive for this.
No.
And then if you, depending, I'm not sure what you have to do, but there's also a secret ending that you can see after this happens, where you see Genesis pick up Wise and say, we have one last thing to do, and fly out.
I did not see that.
I didn't either until Google. And you know who Genesis is, Mike?
That was Sega's console for the 16-bit era.
Just a giant console comes out in the ending cutscene and picks him up.
It's got.
Genesis is from Crisis Core. He is Nero. Crisis Core, I guess. I don't know what Weiss is, but they all have to do with Crisis Core, which came out in 2008, 2 years after this game. But I didn't know. I was like, what the hell? Because Genesis is one of the villains you fight in Crisis Core or something like that. I don't remember anything about Crisis Core.
I have heard that name.
But I guess there was supposed to be another game after this to wrap up Final Fantasy VII, because this doesn't wrap it up. But that never happened. And never will happen at the point.
Oh, maybe that's how they'll finish off the remake when it's finally done.
I forgot about the remake even existed.
Yeah.
I'm waiting until they release all the episodes before I play it.
You're waiting to 2030?
If I have to.
That's generous.
Well, last I heard, they probably weren't even going to finish it.
We're not going to finish it. I mean, I don't see how you can either. Like, the first game is entirely just Midgard. Like, how can you can't do this whole that style? It's not going to work. So, yeah. Oh, I know. Crisis Core came out 2008. Advent Children came out in 2006, the same year we got Dirge.
The year of Final Fantasy VII. Just playing off, getting that sweet, sweet money. And they're still doing it to this day.
Yep.
The remake sold well, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. People love that game.
It's just, I think it's also interesting how we're playing Dirge of Cerberus and we're going to play other Final Fantasy VII stuff before we even retouch the original game. It definitely gives you a different look on it.
I think we should play the remake before we play the original 7.
Just to keep it going.
Just to piss everyone off.
All right, any last thing to say about this before we go to questions, comments, or memories? I have a few.
Really, ultimate weapons in this game. Like, you have to go do something you wouldn't normally do to get some kind of toy gun from the little boy you escort near the beginning of the game. And then you upgrade it enough, and it turns into ultimate weapon.
I did not know that.
Did not know that.
But thanks, Wiki. Whichever Wiki I saw that on.
Well, that's kind of cool. Okay. I wish I would have known that. I would have liked a better gun.
Yeah, I'm sure I would have dumped all my money into that, though. And it would have made the game more difficult until I got it.
I used all the money for buying potions and stuff. I bought a lot of potions. All right, I'm going to go to questions, comments, or memories. I have a few. First from I actually got more than I expected. But first from the Overblood group, from Elijah Taigi. I was a really active Game Informer reader, and they warned the hell out of us that this game was trash. I'm curious to hear people's opinions on this game. It's not trash. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's trash. I think it's good for a one playthrough.
I need to pull that up because I remember replying to that, and that might be part of my shelf for buck.
Yep, I'm looking at it right now for you to say. And then another one from Christopher Kovacs. I loved it. I just thought it was super cool to explore some of the FF7 areas in 3D and see those enemies moving around with updated graphics. The gameplay was way better than it was given credit for, if you ask me. The story was, well, I remember it being a little silly, and I don't remember all the details. I don't either, and I just beat the game. I remember thinking the new villains were just kind of lame coming off of the original.
I think that sums up this whole game perfectly, actually. That is perfect.
And from Tony Delgado, I remember really liking the gun customization Dirge of Cerberus. I especially remember having a gun that after jumping had a rapid fire that made Vincent hover in the air. It was pretty fun and unique, especially for the time. And this one, I didn't make any sense to me, but I'm going to read it from Sebastian Games. Nothing like Gak. And I was like, what the fuck is Gak?
Oh, so there you go. Gak, like I said, was the guy that did the intro song. He's very popular Japanese singer. And yeah, he did the intro song and then the song where you're flying through. And he also voices Genesis.
Oh.
So yeah. And that's why I got so hyped because like I said, Malice Miser was a band that he was in. And I just recognized his voice. I never really went and listened to a lot of solo Gak stuff. But I was a big fan of Malice Miser.
You say Gak and it just makes me think of that packaged Nickelodeon slime they sold in the 90s. Again.
And from Connor Cook, I don't remember a lot, but I remember being pumped to play it on a release because I was a wannabe edgelord. I remember it being mildly difficult, but a fun experience. And from Dominic Chikoki, friend of the show, I remember playing this and finding it inferior to the other game Gakt is in, Bujingi, the Forsaken City. When is the podcast finally going to give Bujingi its due?
Oh my god.
Oh, that game's awesome.
Is it really?
And honestly, the only reason I ever played it was because I found Gakt was in it. I am glad there are other people out there like me.
Yeah, neither Mike nor I had ever heard of it until this comment. And I looked it up and like, wow, this looks kind of generic, but...
Oh, it's very generic, but I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
I mean, I can't say it's going to be on the show anytime soon just because stuff like this doesn't do super well. I mean, it doesn't stop me, but I'd play at some point.
My next... 2 seasons of picks are already done, so
it won't be anytime soon, but yeah, at some point I wouldn't mind trying it.
I'll play it.
So okay, I guess it was very odd. I was like, what the? I remember looking up like, what the hell is this? Yeah, it's a game. And from Kyle Wells, this is one of the top 2 things I regret asking my mom to buy for me on the rare occasion I was allowed to get a game. I did not like the game, but forced myself to complete/enjoy it because money was always tight and was a rare. I got something like a game.
Now I want to know what the other one was.
And I have more actually from Laser Time. I actually was surprised I got so many questions, so many memories of this game. Like people actually had a lot to say about this game. I was surprised. From Colton Mason. I erased this game from my brain long ago. I'll keep it that way. From Kelly Ryan, it was an interesting concept, but his controls were absolute garbage. I wish they do a PC version because it was sort of meant to be played on mouse and keyboard. They're not wrong. They actually can be played on the PS2 mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, that would play better.
Yeah, it would have definitely played a lot better, especially some of the sniping sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah. And from Michael Irving, I always wanted to play this when it first came out. It is worth picking up and playing today. I'd say yes.
Yeah, I hadn't played it until 3 days ago, and like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had fun with it.
You have anything to add, Mike?
I'm saving it for Shelfer Box at this point.
And it's on eBay for under about $20 on eBay. It's out there. It's not terrible, but you can find it. I mean, I think it's worth it. If you like Final Fantasy VII and have some remembering of it, pick it up.
Yeah.
So I would say play it. Okay, from Mark Marquesi, heard another podcast, enjoy just playing it. I recall the enemies being repetitive and dull. Is that a factor here?
It's a fact.
Absolute fact.
I mean, you're playing as Vincent. I mean, just enjoy that fact. That's all
I'd rather play Steve.
And from Dylan Caudill, I love this game. My MCR loving ass was super into Vincent. My question is, why do I find Vincent to be hot as fuck?
He's a pretty boy.
Yeah, I was going to say because he is. It's that simple.
I mean, I always liked Vincent, and especially when I got to see, when he was in cool graphics, I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And I was surprised the game from 2006 still looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this game did not, well, the gameplay might have aged a little, but the graphics are still really good. Like, you could have those cutscenes and stuff like this on a game today, and it'd be just fine. Or maybe 360 era. We'll say 360 era. Just fine. All right. And the one comment I got from the Giant Bomb group, I'll read it. It's a long one, but I'm going to read it. It's from Taylor Smith.
Oh my God!
Freudian slip there.
I was gonna say, damn, you got some good fans out on this.
I grew up a Nintendo kid with a Sega neighbor friend. I was in high school when this came out. Had just recently bought a PS2 and convinced by a school friend that FF7 was the shit. I'm a loser for not playing it, and that DOC was an amazing game. Dirge Cerberus. Picked this up, beat it, was convinced to never play any FF after 6.
Oh.
Hey, you're missing out on 10. 10 is great. You get to hear it keeps going, but I'm not going to.
I mean, it's 9.
Yeah, 9 gets a lot of love too.
I remember 8 being really good, but I think that was just because I was a moody teenager at the time that I played 8.
We're gonna have to put 9 on the show so I can finally play through it.
You never?
No.
9 is actually good.
9's really good.
I know my wife likes 8 and 9 a whole lot.
8 I don't think is good, but I want to play 8 again. 9 is actually a really good RPG. Just don't fight Ozma. It's a really good game.
She would be very excited if we did 8.
We're going to. It's just going to be a long one. That's all. But it's going to happen. I 100% want to do more Final Fantasies on this show. It's just, I'm getting there.
Yep, we'll get there.
Hey, well, you're actually up for it, so.
Yep.
All right, and then the last group I'm going to read some questions from RPG Lovers Worldwide Unite, from Martin Villarreal. Yeah, this game sucked. I love how some people are like, fuck this game. Makes me happy. And from Brian Dirawanko. Got it when it was brand new, played through it all once. Don't remember crap about story, characters, or anything about it in reality, which obviously says something for the story. I think the gameplay was kind of fun. I played again, but it appears I traded it, which again shows how much I enjoyed it overall. In the end, this game only really made me want to play the original game again.
Fact.
And from the RPG Lover Worldwide Unite page, the guy that runs this group, he said, I'm a Vincent Valentine fan, and I love it. I thought that was cool. And this one from Mark Bergsma. I vaguely remember it. I also remember the part playing as Kate Sith.
Yep. It does kind of stand out.
This one's for Adam. Alan D. Torres. Can't recall the story. Gameplay was fun, but super hated Invisible Walls. Definitely play it again.
God, they were so bad.
I didn't run into that many, I don't think. I almost I guess. I wasn't really searching for anything. I was just trying to get through the game.
I think I pulled up the map enough to know where I could go to avoid that.
It just like simple things like I said, trying to jump on a box or jump over a handrail or jump over a pipe when you have to crouch. Like it, if you weren't jumping, you didn't encounter them that much because the game's pretty linear. But yeah, they were pretty bad.
And last question that I'm going to read, if I can figure out how to pull back up the thing I just closed. All right, from Bruce Phillips. Wasn't completely terrible for a Devil May Cry-esque RPG.
I'd rather have a Devil May Cry ripoff than a God of War ripoff.
Yeah, I actually fully agree with that.
We could play the Ghost Rider game if we want one of those.
For PS2?
Yeah. We could give it the Percy Jackson treatment. We could do the movie and the PS2 game.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a Ghost Rider game.
Yep, 2007.
Yep. There's also a Blade PS2 game.
You know I want to play that.
I know you do.
There's also a PS1 game. I don't want to go near that, but I want to play the PS2 one.
And an Underworld game that I don't think ever came out here.
It didn't. I found it, but it didn't come out here. I'm pretty sure. We talked about this on an earlier episode at some point, or maybe one that wasn't released. I don't know, but I know we have talked about it on air.
Entirely possible.
Underworld Internal War is the game that you're talking about.
It looks bad. We should probably play it.
Yeah, we can play it. It only came out in Europe.
Yeah, there you go.
That won't stop us. All right, let's go to shelf, stack, or box. I don't think anything else we need to say about this game other than that.
What the hell's a stack? When did you start incorporating
stacks? Man, that must have been on a minute.
Every few months when we started
started this season.
Oh, so is a stack like in between?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's the gray area.
But you don't really want to box. You might come back to it, so you want to end the stack that you're going to replay.
I got you. Okay.
And Mike, why don't you go first?
So, as we've said, I ignored the story in this. I think is the best term for that. So I'm gonna try and rate this by my licensed game standards. So taking Final Fantasy completely out of it, just looking at it as a third-person shooter, it's fine. Like, it does some cool things. I wish it did some more with the gun customization and the guns themselves. It's kind of a bummer that you get a pistol, a rifle, and a machine gun, and that's it. I would have liked maybe something that explodes in a shotgun or whatever. That being said, it's not a bad game. It definitely goes on too long, and the enemy variety is non-existent. But as I replied to that comment that Mike read earlier, so I don't know that the game is trash per se, but it's definitely giving off a bad enough smell that if it was food, you would probably think twice about eating it. So I am going to put it in the stack, though, because I might go back and finish it. I at least want to try and get the Ultima weapon sometime. I think that would be fun to do, but it's not bad enough that I would condemn it to the box, but it's definitely not good enough that I would put it on the shelf. This is why we have that gray area now.
Yeah, I like that.
How about you, Adam?
I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. I had a lot of fun besides invisible walls and getting used to ancient style controls. The story, I'm already forgetting. I thought I was going to remember much more than I did, and I beat this game this morning. I'm glad I played it. You know, more Vincent Valentine. Anything you slap Final Fantasy 7 on it and give me a few references, I'm going to try it out and play it. So that being said, though, it's the box. I'll never play this game again.
Okay. I enjoyed this game. I liked it, but it's going in the box. I have no desire to replay this game. I'm not going to probably talk about this game. I'm not going to recommend this game to people. I mean, sure, it's a cool game, but it's not re-released anywhere, so you can't play it on modern hardware. You can't. Only one way to play it, unless you're going to go buy an old PS2 copy, and it's not. I mean, and you need a decent PC to run it too. Like that's. So this is not something that I'm glad I played it. And I've beaten it twice now since it came out in 2006, and I'm good. I can wait another 15 years before I play this game again.
So the takeaway from this, listeners, is that the person that ignored the story gave it the highest rating. So make of that what you will.
I mean, I sing its praise, but you know, for me, I'm done with it.
If you're not big in FF7, there's nothing here for you, really. I mean, sure, it's a decent third-person shooter, but the point of it is that it's a sequel to FF7. But also, it ends kind of on a cliffhanger. Well, not really a cliffhanger, but it ends with a stinger for a sequel that you're never going to get. And it's just, I mean, I guess maybe I just don't care about FF7 anymore.
And the third-person shooter thinks that it does well. Other games do better, so.
Binary Domain.
No. Nope.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
This game had more enemy variety than Binary Domain.
Oh, Jesus, really?
Yeah, okay, you're probably. Yeah.
It's probably pretty even, actually.
Yeah, Binary Domain had more, but you're close to it.
What game did you just shout out, Adam? I missed it.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's going to happen sometime. I don't know how much
I've been tempted to put that on the show since I started the show.
It's a third-person Sonic shooter.
I know, and I really want to replay it. I played it when I bought it sometime back when it came out, and I never got far. And I always told myself, I'm going to come back to this game. And I haven't yet.
So my only experience with that game is Brutal Moose's review that he did on it, so I would try it.
This is a live-action Shadow the Hedgehog. There we go. You got the Netflix
the Hedgehog. Oh, jeez.
All right. I mean, I kind of thought that we would all none of us would be super happy with this game, just because.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy I played it, but I had fun with it. But it really stops about there.
It harkens back to Square's trying different things like they did in the PS1 era, where we got stuff like Einhander and Urgies or whatever that fighting game, however you pronounce that shit. There you go, whatever. But it's cool that they try different things. They just don't always pan out.
I wish I knew more about Einhander. That's one of the ones I never have. I don't have anything of.
Einhander is a R-type side scroll, like airplane side scroller shooter,
which was really hard
because you could like destroy robots and like take their Gatling guns and stuff and like upgrade on the fly. It was really cool. I remember I had a demo for it and I played the hell out of it, and then I bought the game and I was like, oh, this game's hard.
It's very hard.
It's always been on my list to someday play it for the show too. I really have a thing for Squaresoft. I don't think I haven't really went into yet on this show. I haven't really gotten there, but I love Squaresoft back in the day.
Yeah.
I think you're giving some of that for during the Chrono Trigger episode.
Probably gave some, but we haven't really played a lot of them. Like, there are so many Squaresoft games, and I've stayed away from them.
Oh, like the Bouncer.
That still hasn't happened yet.
Oh, one of my other gripes. This is a Final Fantasy game, and there's no Cactuar in here to be seen at all.
It's weird.
That's always my favorite little thing is trying to find the Cactuars.
Isn't there even a Chocobo outside of that mention?
No, that was only at one time, I believe.
Yeah.
Even Mystic Quest had a Chocobo in it. Jeez.
I'm keeping my mouth shut on purpose.
I have T-balled that one for you.
Oh, man, Mystic Quest, one of the best Final Fantasy games.
Oh. Ooh. Oh. It's a fun game. It's not one of the best Final
I love Mystic Quest. Yeah, no, I'm just looking through Squaresoft list of games, and yeah, we're definitely going to play more of them at some point.
Queued up.
There's just a lot of them are long, so that's why I've stayed away from them.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. Like, at some point, I'm going to make us play Saga Frontier now that it's getting re-released.
Parasite Eve, we're going to finish off that trilogy.
I'm excited. I'm excited to finally see the end of that.
It's better than 2.
You can't get worse than 2, okay? You just can't.
Wait. They had something to do with Bomberman 64, The Second Attack.
Oh. Okay.
Love that game.
Oh, Mike, why don't you introduce what we're talking about next week? This is your pick.
Next week we're playing Supergiant Games Transistor,
which I am excited for.
That's a good game. That's a good game. I mean, anything Supergiant's ever put their name on is fantastic.
Accurate.
I've never played Pyre or Hades, but I played Bastion and I played Transistor now, so
Hades is I went down a deep hole about that about a month ago, and like was just like 15 hours a day, like just over. And Pyre's good. It's like a basketball game.
Oh, weird.
It's kind of weird, but it's Supergiant. So once you get the hang of it, it's fantastic.
I know nothing outside of Pyre other than Supergiant made it, and the name is Pyre.
Yeah, it's like a little sports style game. You'd have to play it to understand it.
Interesting.
Yeah, because that kind of confused us. I'm pretty sure.
You said sports, my brain tried to click off. I'm like, wait, hear him out.
Yeah. But it's done in a way where it doesn't feel like sports. There you go. How about that? It's a new sports game.
Good.
My interest went down, but I'll try it someday. Hey, I want to play Bastion now for the show after we do Transistor someday.
Apparently, Pyre was nominated for Best RPG from Polygon, somewhere. So now I'm even more confused. So we're gonna have to check that out.
You'll understand when you play it.
Okay.
All right, and Adam, you want to give a shout out to your podcast?
Talk Games Chew Bubblegum, where we do, we talk about games and we do a lot of lists and we have fun. And that's really all I got. You should just check us out and just hear what we're about. How about that?
I like lists.
I know you do. We'll do. The list episode should have come out already.
It would be out by now,
or close to it. No, it'd already be out by now.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely go listen to that. Top 10 handheld games for me, Mike, and Adam.
Adam's on that one too.
Same crew. I'm trying to think what else I want to say. Like, I'm like, who do I want to say stuff? But I'm like, my brain just not working right now.
Episode's not long enough.
You got to give credits to the guy that does your music. I know that much.
I know that too. I was trying to think I want to plug any other episodes that this would relate to if you like Final Fantasy. But then I'm like, oh wait, we haven't covered. This is the first Final Fantasy game we ever covered on the show.
Oh my god!
It's Dirge of Cerberus.
Hell, a way to break the ice.
I know.
Wow.
Of all the Final Fantasy games to pick, we start with Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy 7.
Next, we're going to do Final Fantasy Adventure that's not a Final Fantasy game, and then Final Fantasy Legend, which is also not a Final Fantasy game.
None of
Dodge all the dodge all the actual games in the series.
Well, 6 will come up at some point.
We'll start with 10-2.
You can do the music one on the DS.
I couldn't play that.
Computer Rhythm?
Yeah.
I have no rhythm, apparently. I found out real fast when I started playing that game.
Oh, yeah, me neither.
So, all right, let's wrap up this episode because someone has to edit this later. First, I want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bobby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney from his EP Bite the Bullet, Song to Cool Kid Squad. If you enjoyed this episode, we got 111 other game episodes. We have minis, we got movies, we got comics. We are going through the MCU, and we should be releasing more sometime around the time you're hearing this. Civil War is coming out, so definitely go check all those out. Please go check out all our episodes. If you go through the catalog, you will find something that you want to listen to. I guarantee it at this point.
Yep.
Because there's such a wide variety of crap that we covered. There's got to be something that you'd be interested in if you're listening to this. But nothing else Edgelord. Hey, we did cover Labyrinth. Does that fit in Edgelord, maybe? I don't know.
Ish.
Okay. That's all I got. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and subscribe to me on YouTube. Please, I'm getting close to my 100 YouTube subscribers to make my own custom URL. I'm close. So please, go subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And please follow us on Twitter, too. I forgot to mention Twitter. And I think I need to stop talking. So we will see you guys all next week.
All right,
bye, everybody.
guys.
Bye.